Hey everybody, it's Mr. Carr again. Today we're going to be looking at 9.2 day one here. We're now going to go into what's called volume. So when we talk about surface area, that is referring to the areas on each of the faces of our figure, or our solid, I should say. Now we're going to be doing volume. Volume is the amount of three-dimensional space that we take up. So the volume is going to be not just like if you think about it as like your surface, your area is just like a flat two-dimensional surface. Volume is going to be going up each of like up and up and up and up to take up a certain amount of volume then. Okay. So when we look at the volume of a prism, the volume of a prism is the product of the area of the base, which we have typically called capital B here, and the height h. So volume is going to be B times h. Although if I look at this diagram, we're using kind of a capital H here for the height of the prism. So let's be careful of that one. We'll make it a capital H then, just to be on the safe side. So capital H, capital H. So I'm talking about this height. Remember, this is the height that's between my bases. Okay, so this is the distance between bases here. This, when we find this, has a lot of variety to it. It all depends on what shape we have. So here's a triangle, and we have base and height here. Be careful when we use the lowercase letters because that is referring to the base and height of the triangle, whereas this H and this B is referring to the whole solid. Okay, so this right here has a lot of variety to it. So for our first example here, we have a right triangular prism. We have 1 and 3 making up these two sides. So I could find, kind of like how I did with my surface area, I do want to kind of mention what is the base. The base is what shape? So in this case, the base is a triangle. So now I identified that, I'm going to make sure I use the right formula. So the area of the base is going to be 1/2 base times height because that's our triangle formula. Now in this case, because of it being a right triangle, this will be my lowercase b and this will be my h here. Remember, this is base and height of the triangle, not of the entire solid. So in this case, we can do 1/2 of 3 times 1. So I multiply that out, and that comes out to 1.5. Okay, so that's my area of the base. Now my height, the height here that I need, is the height between the two bases. So in this case, that is how far apart are my two right triangles. They are 2 feet apart here. So that's going to be my capital H. So H is going to be 2. So volume is going to be the area of the base times the height, which is going to give me 3. Now, because like with our units now, because we're doing volume instead of surface area or area, that is going to be what's called cubic feet. So our total volume is 3 cubic feet here. When we do the volume of a cylinder, it is technically doing the same thing. The volume of a cylinder is the product of the area of the base times the height. So it's the same exact formula that I do there. Okay. So my capital H again is going to be technically this H here. But just like when we did our surface area, instead of doing it as B times H, we can instead make it in terms of circles. There is only one answer for this one. There's a variety of answers for this B because of the different shapes we can make our prisms, our prism bases. But in this case, this B is only ever a circle. So volume in this case instead can be pi times radius squared times my height. So pi r squared h. So when I come down here, all I need is r and h. So r is given here is 5, and then h is 6. So I can go right to my formula. So volume is equal to pi times 5 squared times my height of 6. Okay, so now we multiply this out. We got 5 squared is 25. 25 times 6 is going to give me 150 pi, and that'll be cubic meters. And if I want an approximate answer, we just plug that in to a calculator. We get 471.24 cubic meters. Okay, and that is actually it for today. So all we're focusing on is volume. So like something like this, rectangular prism, give you a heads up. When you try this on your own, remember the base is a rectangle. Okay. Once you know the base is a rectangle, you know that the area of the base is going to be base times height. Technically speaking, of the rectangular prism, it doesn't matter which way we go with, but I usually just go with like the bottom now. That's my base and height. So that'd be my B and H. And then that leaves us with 1.5 is the capital H here. I don't like how that was drawn. Let's do that a little better. Okay. H. Okay. So go ahead and try these on your own. Be careful of any problems where it gives you diameter instead of radius. But other than that, it's always going to be the same kind of idea. Volume is area of the base times the height. And if it's a cylinder, we just make it a circular base, so it's pi r squared times the height. All right. And that's it for today. Take care, everyone.